What's up, everybody? So we're out in the shop, and in this episode I'm going to show you how I achieved the finish on the 2 Insanity builds. I'm not going to do a long intro. I want to jump into this, show y'all the stuff that I did to achieve this. This is just pretty much going to be the highlights. If I showed y'all all the stuff, it'd be like a 24-hour video. Ain't nobody trying to watch a 24-hour video. So let's jump into this. I'll show you the process, and then we'll end up doing a more close-up view of them in the outro. Let's get into it. So when it came to doing this process, it was definitely more work than I thought it was going to be. You know, I had to go through 220 grit, 320 grit, 500 grit, and 600 grit on both the two-handed knife and the one-handed knife. And that was like working on a sword and a knife all at once. So it was definitely a lot of hand sanding. Now, we had to focus on getting a real uniform finish and making sure we got out all of the grind lines and previous sanding lines from the previous grit. So we had to focus on everything really in detail, like things like this right here where we got into that plunge line area and just made sure that we got everything uniform. And the reason behind that is we're going to be doing so many dips in the acid that any imperfections are going to show up whenever we're doing all of the etching process. Now, when it comes to our etching process, we're just going to be using 50-50 ferric chloride and distilled water mixture. And you'll see later in the video that this tank right here that I'm using is definitely going to be too small for the two-handed knife. But our process here is soaking it in the acid for 5 minutes in the first round, then cleaning it off with the Windex, and I'm just using my gloves and a paper towel as an abrasive to clean it all off. But once we get done with this, it goes back in the acid for 10 minutes, and then we pull it out, do the same cleaning process, paper towel, gloves, Windex, and then it goes back in the acid for 5 more minutes after that, and we get the finish that we're looking for on both the flats and the ricasso area. Now, as you can see here, this two-handed knife is definitely way too large for this container. So we need to go ahead and make a bigger container. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Now when it comes to this container, this is a 3-inch PVC pipe with a 3-inch butt cap and a 3-inch actual cap that you'll see here in a second. We're going to go ahead and add our purple primer to both the cap and the PVC pipe, and then we're going to apply our adhesive so we can glue everything up. And as you're putting these together, you're going to put it together and give it about a quarter turn, lock everything in there, and then I let it set for about 2 hours before I ended up putting any acid in it. But I did find this little cap right here to be able to cap this, and I thought that was pretty cool. So now I've got a larger acid container. Now, we went ahead and did a temporary mount on the countertop because I am going to be putting this in the bigger shop whenever we start that process, but for now this will work. I will tell you this though, just because I made a bigger container did not mean that my acid decided to grow and become bigger. So I went ahead and transferred all of the acid from the little container and put it into the bigger container, and then I luckily had excess acid from the original container that I was able to pour into here and kind of make up a little bit of the difference. But even with that, it was still not enough. So I went ahead and diluted it a little bit with some distilled water. This is going to put it to where it's about 55% distilled water and 45% acid. So not that big a deal. Now that we got our etchant tank made, we can go ahead and etch our two-handed knife and do the same process we did on the one-handed. The big thing to focus on here was making sure that we're using our hard backer and we're only sanding on the bevels. We're not letting it roll up onto the flats or the ricasso area. And I had to make sure to do this to both the one-handed and two-handed knife, and we did end up taking it all the way up to a 600 grit finish, nice and uniform. And then on this round we're just gonna etch it for about 15 seconds, so it's not going to be as much as it was before because we want the bevels to be a lighter color than the flats and the ricasso area, so that when we do this mustard etch right here, the dark line that you get from the actual mustard etch stands out on the bevels. Now this is one of the easiest ways to actually get a Hamon line on your blade if you're wanting to do that without the actual heat treat process. You could also do a bunch of different designs and things like that, but I wanted something that really flowed with the actual blade style, so that's the reason why I did this kind of Hamon / Sanmai looking line that we did here. And I think y'all are really going to like it, and y'all will see it in the outro. So now that y'all have seen the process that I went through in order to achieve this particular finish, I'll go ahead and give y'all some close-ups. So we'll start with the one-handed knife. Get a little look on that. I really like what we were able to achieve with this particular one. You know, being able to do the layers of etching and then doing the mustard etch and all of that with it, and being able to get the darkness where I want it. So, you know, our darkest point is in the ricasso and the flats, and then it slowly works its way down to a light edge, and then we have that punch of color going down or punch of darkness going down the center of the bevels right there. Then it's darker in the plunge line areas. I love that just the gradient going from the dark to the light. Everything stands out. That is just going to be an absolute awesome knife. And I'm going to talk more about it here in just a second, but let's go ahead and look at the sword too, or two-handed large knife. So here is this one. Got that nice change of color going from the darkness on the flats and the ricasso going to the lighter on the blade, and then that punch of darkness with the line from the mustard etching. You can really see that darkness transition into the flats right there whenever you're on the bigger scale. I'm really excited about this. Now, you know, the way we were able to achieve this particular finish was basically just through a lot of work. Being able to go through and sanding to 600 grit, and then going and acid etching, letting it soak, pull it out, clean it, let it soak, pull it out, clean it, let it soak, pull it out, clean it, and then sanding all the etchant off of the bevels, and then going back and working our way to get the finish that we want, or the lightness that we want. So I had to try that a few different times to figure out how I wanted it to look. So I had to etch it, sand it, etch it, and then I got the finish that I wanted, or the darkness that I wanted on the bevels. And then we took, once we had that done, and did the mustard etch for the, if you want to call it a sand mine line or a Hamon line or something like that. Basically, I just wanted that cool line to go all the way down the edge, because what's going to end up happening is we're going to end up putting a another edge on here, so the actual sharpened edge, and that's going to be a bright, shiny silver line going all the way down the bottom edge of both of these, and it's just going to finish out that multiple layer tone that we were able to achieve by the different etching processes. So, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, you can just acid etch, or you can just mustard etch, or, you know, you can't really combine the different processes, but this shows you that you can kind of do whatever pops into your head sometimes. I would say practice it. You know, it's definitely a lot of work if it didn't work out, because I was having to completely resand stuff, but I'm happy with how this turned out. I'm happy that I was able to do the different types of etching to be able to get this particular finish, and I want to know what y'all think. Do y'all think that this was the right amount of craziness for the 2 insanity builds? Do you think that I did enough? Do you think I should have did more? What do y'all think? Do y'all think that that right there is exactly what we needed to do to be able to finish the blades on these and make them just look awesome? And then whenever we put the sharpened edge on it, it's just gonna look like just a punch of sharpness, and just gonna add another layer to it, which I really, really like. But what do y'all think so far? Comment section, let me know. Now, when it comes to the handles on these, the handles are going to be very involved too. I've got to do a lot of cutting and piecing things together to get that herringbone pattern that I want to put on these. And it's going to be a lot of pieces in one handle, especially for the two-handed one. It's going to be 1 foot long scales. So there's a lot of pieces that are going to have to be put into that in order to make it work out how I want it to look. So hopefully I'll be able to finish that over this next week. If I am able to and get them put on here, I will show that to you. If I'm able just to make the scales, I'll show y'all that process on one of the Friday or Sunday videos. See how it goes. Now I will tell you this, once this particular build is over with, the regular uploads like the Sunday, Tuesday, Friday will come back, but with me right now having to build 3 builds at once has just been a lot in getting all the footage together. So we'll go back to normal, where I'm doing a build plus a Shop Talk Tuesday build, and that's it. Not basically a sword and 2 knives. It's just been overwhelming. So we'll be back to regular uploads once we actually finish this build. But yeah, y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think about these. Guys, thank y'all for coming by. If y'all would, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or one of my other videos. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for spending your time with me. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there. I'll catch y'all next time.